Hello everybody, quick video on how to use ChatGPT for quality assurance purposes and uses and how to help you in software testing, not only in coming up with test plans, actual test cases, but more analyzing the requirements and trying to figure out different approaches and different innovative ways to test your software. And quality assurance, keep in mind, is going to become very, very important in a near and long future because of introduction of ChatGPT and all the various AI models. Um, you'll see more and more that not only is this the age of AI, but this is actually becoming the age of quality assurance. Overnight, when AI became a household thing, and these tools like ChatGPT became available to everyday folks like you and I, everybody became a tester overnight, immediately. Immediately started to, at the very least, test this prompt in particular, among other ones, where they start to question the AI, question ChatGPT, and start to tailor their prompts based on responses. So testing out various approaches, testing out various sentence structures and request structures. Everybody became a tester. Everybody became a tester. So those of you that have already been in the industry for a long time or just starting out, you're already ahead of the game because you have some understanding of how to approach test and how to figure out how things work and how they don't. So to show you a little bit, of course, here's ChatGPT, and we'll start out with using GPT 3.5 Turbo, and then we'll switch over to 4 for some more innovation. Just to go over a prompt that I use very often, and so we'll start somewhere around there. I'll go over what the prompt is and what it does, and then kind of what some of the definitions of the things in the prompt are. So a very, very useful prompt prep for ChatGPT is let's think step by step. ChatGPT, keep in mind, it remembers the history of what was asked, and it remembers the history of what it was given, what it gave you back as an output. And the way it does that is that every request, the overall chat history gets submitted back to ChatGPT, and so it gets bigger and bigger every single question that you ask because your question gets pushed back into ChatGPT with the rest of the history. And so, but that is a real big advantage compared to regular search because it now has a history of the dialogue. And not only does it understand regular human semantics and regular human talking style, it also has a history of someone's short history of the current ongoing conversation and the replies that it was given. So that allows us to prime the engine, prime the model with some information, some form of data to then use later on when we start asking it for a more refined set of information. So the reason I bring that up is when we get to things like this. So our prompt in general is going to be for the creation of a test plan. So we'll start with that. We'll modify some of this one right here is for a test suite, but we'll modify and create test plans. So this prompt right here is let's think step by step. It will tell GPT that it has to follow the command, the prompt that you're about to give it in a structured way, so it doesn't kind of take it all in and start to interpret things later and start to confuse and do what is called hallucinate, start to produce all kinds of garbage output. Overall, what I like to do is I like to, if we're starting out and prepping, to figure out what is the best thing to use and what is the best thing to do while we're creating our tests and while we're creating our results. So just to show you a brief history of what I went through here. So I gave it our prompt here, okay? And so the output is very interesting. So based on the information provided, again, this is just a template that was given. There's no requirement yet. It gave me an example template for the requirement document, right? Introduced purpose, requirements, and then it gave me an actual what the test plan would look like. It'll be a combination of test suites and then description of test suites. And it's a simple template. So I did a little bit of a modification and added some more information. And so here's a test plan with a title, action steps, and expected results for each of the suites. So you can show your results here in this table format. That was really kind of the purpose of this exercise. You can display things in a table format, which is then easily converted to a CSV and then paste it into Excel document at the very least, or into some other database, some other bug repository system, or more the more advanced. Some of you would know that you can use that as input to some kind of a tool to do things automatically. And that's where I'll show you actually the tool that I came up with a little later, and how it's all related. So one of the ways to use ChatGPT is come up with various test types, and it'll give you a result of actually a fairly extensive list of things. You can do unit tests, integration testing, functional testing, system testing, all kinds of various tests, and their descriptors of what exactly is happening with that test. Now, also keep in mind, remember when I said that the history is being pumped back in every single time I ask a question. Now that I've asked it this and the results are given, and I look at them, and they're fairly, they're pretty good. Compatibility testing, usability testing. Now every single time I ask something about the tests, or maybe somehow to use some of the tests in a further query, ChatGPT will know what is being asked and what is being talked about, because it already primed itself. It already understood and kind of focused itself on a certain sphere of information. Remember, when it knows absolutely everything, it might as well know nothing, because it's way too random of information in its mind. So you need to kind of focus and determine where you want to get answers from. So one of the ways that is also really useful, so not only generate different type of test types and explanation for different test types, I asked GPT of the standard formats for software quality assurance, and of course it gave me some of the more well-known ones. The IE 829. A standard for testing docs. This is an international version, the ISO international standards. Some kind of international software quality qualifications board, not sure, but agile testing. I'm sure people will be aware of that, and test-driven development as well. So certain different types of standards and formats. So you can use different standards for the documentation in your output. You can actually ask ChatGPT to give us a particular standard. So if we define number one in detail as my next prompt, the 829, keep in mind, I don't even have to ask it like in traditional search. I don't have to ask it specifically, give me what is this, IAE 829. Just define number one in detail, and that works. That suffices. So it gives me more detail, and it's a standard for software testing documentation. There's the test plan, the test design, the test case, and it has certain requirements and certain parameters for each one of them, and we can get that by asking it to define in detail each of the three. Note the English language usage. That is just simple chat-like approach. Just regular conversational English, and that's what it understands it perfectly. Perfect enough to give me a detailed explanation of each of the 3 levels of documentation. It then tells me what is in each of them. So not only does it tell me, it now tells itself what is in each of these, right? So what is in the test design? What is in the test case? There's a test ID, there's a test title, test input. And of course, if this doesn't apply to you, you change it, you modify it, you somehow change it around. So having done all that, having primed ChatGPT now with some information about standards, some output standards, some documentation standards, we can now ask it for a fairly specific thing, which in this case, let's say let's think step by step using those that set of requirement that is now fully aware of, software quality assurance best practices for test plan creation. We're going to display results in a table format. We're going to brainstorm and extrapolate innovative, functional test suites. As we've seen all of the different kind of test cases, this is where we can specify multiple ones. Sometimes I would do security. Yeah, well, if I could modify, but we'll copy this prompt. Okay, and we can use that in a little bit. So it'll be a functional test suites related to the requirement provided. For each test suite in the results, list test suite title and description. So what it's doing right now, we can give it a requirement and it's going to create a test suite for us. We can even, what I would do first is I would use the requirement and I would create a test plan. So we can modify this right now to do exactly that. As you see here, so we give it the priming of what it needs to display our results in, which is going to be the columns here within the parentheses, within the square bracket. Column headers, no explanations, just the relevant data. Ask me questions if you don't understand something. Tell me if you understand, and stand by for the requirements. So this is the final output that it just gave me right after that prompt, is that it understood. Great. That means it got to the end and followed the instructions correctly. So you'd like to create a requirement document for software application that follows best practices. Good. The results of the test plan should be displayed in the table format, and document should include a list of functional test suites related to the requirements provided in the following column: test suite title and description. So it's a little mixed because it's giving me a results of a test plan should be displayed. So it's giving me test suites based on the requirement, but results of the test plan should be displayed in the table. So yeah, let's modify this for each test plan. List test plan title and description. Okay, good. So let's see again. Understood. Good. Now let's web app requirement. We'll remember the chat. We'll go back to we'll create a new chat, and we'll ask for a sample of software requirement just to use in our case. But even though we don't even really need to, I'll show you just a really quick. Where are you? Image prompt summary, device, AI-driven marketing. Okay. Over here, it's waiting for it, so we can just give it a requirement. Would you like to provide the requirement about web application? This web application will automatically create test plans from requirements. Okay. We don't need to actually change the spelling because it'll understand everything. And here we go. So let's see what we come up with. So here's our test plan. We got an introduction. We got requirements. Application should automatically create test plans. Application should follow best practices or quality assurance. We got a summary here. Okay, very good. So you see how we're still kind of getting like the templates here. And so this is where I want to show you the difference between 3.5 and 4. So 4 is truly amazing and is somewhat revolutionary. So let's give it just the prompt without any of the priming. Okay. And let's see how far we get. So first of all, it's already a little bit nicer, short, clear answer. Okay. Let's give it, and here, let's give 4A. Not even sure what it's going to give me, but it doesn't matter. Here we go. So I'm using 3.5 to very quickly give me a generic set of requirements. And then we'll use this we'll copy all this out. And we'll put it into our GPT-4 that's waiting for our requirements. Let's see what the output is. Now take a look. Take a look at how much more clever, how much more intuitive, and how much more concise this Chat GPT-4 version is compared to the 3.5, right? So at 3.5, we had to prime it with information. We kind of had to squeeze it. We're gonna have to at the end of the day do a bit more massaging to the prompt, and we'll get the output that we're looking for. There are more advanced ways to form the prompt and format the prompt in order to get a specific output. But take a look here at what we have going on with just a priming of our prompt and then the requirements, a wall of text. And what do we have as the output? Well, we have test plans and their descriptions, and that's all. We can have some more, we can have some less. Let's see what we got here. Account creation and login, content management, content search and filter. Now, what did we use? We used a functional test. So we have notification and updates, user activity and engagement, performance and responsiveness, device and browser compatibility, user interface. Okay. Now repeat for security. What do we use as our initial test suite related? So innovative functional test suites. Okay. So for security test plans. So we further in the story that we gave a description that we need to be using test plans, and so here we go. And now here are security test plans. Data privacy compliance, it's giving us great hints that we need to be compliant with GDPR. A lot of you testers will know that within the last few years you had to transition a lot of systems into the European standard for privacy, and so people will be familiar with this, and you can see what's going on is that ChatGPT is creating for us a very robust set of test plans that we can then extract from here and extrapolate. Also keep in mind, this is in table format, which means it's CSV. you can put this into Excel very easily. Beautiful, beautiful list, very nice. And so error handling infrastructure. Now let's come up with a set of test suites. Now a set of test suites let's limit for the first 3 test plans. Let's do for the first test plan, just to save some time, since this is an example. And now we're creating test suite titles from our test plan of authentication and authorization testing. So the descriptions verify proper implementation of multi-factor authentication and secure user logins, test for unauthorized access to user accounts, and restricted areas of the application. Okay, fairly standard. Let's see what it gave us. Account activation, login functionality, incorrect login attempts, password recovery, multi-factor authentication, logout functionality, account deactivation. So exactly what we needed, exactly what the subject was, and here's the description. Now let's do replicate a test case from the first 3 test suites. Now I did ask it for 1 test case. Let's see if it's going to do 1 for all 3, or is it going to give me test cases for each of the areas. Now look at this, it's kind of really sweet. So test suite title is that, test case description. Here we go, we got some test case descriptions, I see. So it gave me a test case, okay, for each of the 3, all right. I'd like a detailed test case. So again, we can actually put in our prompt back in, and so now we're going to extrapolate into functional test suites. I mean, we don't really need all of this, but let's just continue with the regular chat and say that I'd like a detailed test case with title, test steps, and we'll actually call them action steps, and step, well, we'll say expected results, but I know that the expected results are not going to be all that great, but action steps and sure, expected results, because it's fairly standard practice to do so. So so I'm going to stop the generation here and say in table format. Okay, now here we go. Test case component, title, ID, action steps. Beautiful. So as you can see, we're generating a pretty nice detailed table with our action steps, with our expected results. Very good. Again, easily copy pastable into any kind of system that you're using, easily formatted to whatever system that you might be using. So you want to add some more columns, you want to change the column names, you can do that. Let's brainstorm about some innovative test tests we can do like corner cases. So really cool. Let's take a look at what exactly it can produce for us when it comes to corner cases. Look at that. That's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. So it's going to give us login with disabled JavaScript. Pretty cool. Login during high network latency. So some stress testing here. Login unusual special characters. Very nice. Login with simultaneous sessions. Okay. Okay. Cool. Login following forced password expiration. Yeah. Great. Great. Again, keep in mind this is all coming from a very basic template of a requirement that doesn't have super specific things, but we can actually innovate and we can start up some kind of website, right? So we can check out even, let's say, we'll check out site Fiverr, right? So Fiverr has a whole bunch of stuff, not really sure what's here. So we can go to the main page and I mean, there's services, not even sure what is here, but what if I do just like a copy? Okay, and paste. Let's say here's how I can actually do this. So we can start at GPT 3.5. So 3.5, interesting enough, actually understands links. It doesn't seem like 4 allows that yet, but if we do this, okay. Okay. So we're asking 3.5 to really quickly shoot out a software requirement for this site. This will give us a little bit more detail, right? Rationale. So write with a ton more detail. Spitting it out. Real good. Real good. Excellent. Right? I understood. I love the fact that I understood a ton more details. It's brilliant. So, okay. So here's our requirement. And we'll grab a bit more of a detailed requirement. And do you see what I copied? Do you see what I grabbed? I mean, just a link. Give it an explanation. Let's take a look. I copied it, so we'll copy this. We'll paste that into. Okay. Now a detail plan for this requirement, and let's see the magic. So if you're in the quality assurance game, I know you have products to test, you have software to test, you have websites to test, you have mobile applications to test. This is a fantastic tool on how to do this. And it is such a good tool, and there's so much robust usability here. You can quite easily get a really good understanding of what is going on, what needs to be done, what needs to be tested. So look at this. I mean, it's giving us so we just have a detailed test plan that was asked for, and it's giving us a description of the test plans, right? And then a test case for real-time messaging. So what are our steps here? Log in as a buyer seller, navigate to the project page, access. So this is real-time messaging between buyer and seller. Access the chat feature, send a message, wait for the other party. Look at all the detail that we can generate just from nothing, just from a summary of a link. So it summarized the link for us. It gave us all of this fantastic expected results, and even cool thing is I can just really come in and highlight absolutely everything and say, here is more detail about the site elements, and just paste in a bunch of trash. And here we go. So it can help you easily find things. It can help you easily extract stuff. In the more advanced sections that I'll show later, we can come up with real quick tools to help us do things like scrape the site for any relevant information. We can come up with parsing scripts to strip out necessary text, clean things up, and we can come up with tools that will then import things into your existing system, existing database, or you could subscribe at some point in the very near future to my site, to my tool called testsavant.com. And on release, it will do all of the things that I am now showing you with a whole lot of ease. So it's a quick little, just a sneak preview of early alpha. The test plan, test suite, test cases will be created. You'll be able to specify the different types of columns and various templates that you'll be able to use as the output. A whole bunch of different test types and various combinations of template and test types. We can plug in our requirements through an attachment, or just directly with text based. Okay. And then we'll be able to extract some of the information while modifying the actual AI model, like specifying what models that we're going to be able to use, how many tokens are used, so quite a few advanced customizations, and then be able to export that into text, PDF, CSV, or other systems. So a little sneak preview of what's coming up, and hope you enjoyed it, and let me know how else I can expand on anything. And I hope you guys found this useful, and share with a friend. Thank you.